pleasure to be on, and I think it's a great time where we can share information and connect to each other. We are far and few in between, but the internet has made us connect, and that's great.
So, that's the one benefit, right, of their technology.
Exactly. I mean, they don't want us to use it like this, but that's the price they have to pay.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to introduce some of your work to give people an idea of what the research is before we delve deep?
Yeah, I started off 20 years ago studying various conspiracy theories, and I was into that. But very soon I realized that this is not going to change me or change humanity. Just dig your own. It is good to know things, but then what? Then what? We need to go forward. So I realized I have to go back and study everything I have discarded, like religion. I've studied a lot of religion, but it wasn't for me, and ended up in alchemy. And I felt, this is kind of me. I stay here for a while. And then I went over to Kabbalah and the Lurianic Kabbalah. I was there for like 5 years, studied very hard, did courses and so on. But things happened, and I felt stuck within it. And I searched for the left-hand path. And that's, people view it as a dark, rough path, of course. And I bought into that. It was evil, and the elitist left-hand path, and so on. So I was a little bit hesitant. But then I get connection with Lucifer, and it wasn't at all what I imagined it to be. It was like, what was going on here? Of course, I was afraid. First was, now I knew that this forces was for real. And then I started to wonder, these forces are for real, but what does it mean for us, my family, the human race? Do they want us good, or are they our enemy? Who are they? So I dig deep, very deep into that, and I started to practice left-hand path, method and theory. And there I found more answers to my question I've had about this reality, because I wanted to have three answers on three major questions. If this elite existed, who were they? What do they want with us? And how are we going to transcend them and go forward? Because the answer is, of course, they don't want the best for us. And then I understood that my family was in trouble. And it wasn't like I felt they have fooled us of our history, who we are, about everything. And it was a very dark moment for me, of course. And it felt like falling into a black nothingness for a couple of seconds when it really hit me what has happened. And I wanted to find out. And the first thing that came up in my mind was, they have fooled us. Not they have fooled me, but they have fooled us. And I wanted to know why, who, and how we are going to wake up from this nightmare. Now, nightmare in brackets, because there are a lot of things that is good as well, but there are also things we have to change around for the better of us, for the better of humanity. And therefore the method and an esoteric method was important for me, because we have to transform, we have to change. You can't only talk about conspiracy theories, even though it is important to know what's going on, because you need to protect yourself. You need to be aware. You can't meditate in a temple on fire. So you have to look out for your surrounding and what's happening. But you can't get like stuck in it, because then you lose the work you have to do as well. So it's very hard to have a balance here. And I think I've started to find that balance after 20 years of hard work, feelings.
Esotericism and alchemy is the way that they function. And, so when you said that you really had to go down that road, when you think of how they've done everything, they have done it through the use of these ancient alchemy, magic, understanding that the world is not physically fixed and that it can be manipulated. So, this is absolutely the way that they work. And the Age of Enlightenment, where they brought science in, was to actually hide how they work.
Yeah, true. And I started. Yeah, sorry.
And when you said that you met Lucifer, and you also mentioned that you did a specific kind of Kabbalah, you called it the Lurian Kabbalah, was it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, there are different kinds of Kabbalah. The Lurianic Kabbalah aim is to go back to source, go back to light. They call the creator or the God, or whatever you want to call it, the creator. Their aim is to go back to the creator, to source, and end the reincarnation circle. So they want to end it. And this is a right-hand path method, because their goal is to go back to source and never to come back again. And according to them, that's the purpose for us. That's the purpose for the human race. We are here to have this experience, and then go back to source, end the experience, and go over to a different state. They don't necessarily say that we will end or go into oblivion, but we will end up in a different state as spiritual beings. And this sounds good, and the method works, but there were things that I had some questions and problems with it. For example, they work in groups and they have a teacher and so on. And nothing wrong to have a teacher, but I am a little bit hesitant with group works these days, because a lot of ego get in the way and you do stuff that you shouldn't do. It's hard to get the group together and start the work. You have to travel, you have to meet them, you have to schedule your time. Therefore, I searched for a method that you could be self-reliant. And when I started with the left-hand path, I also had different ideas of what the purpose of life is, where I clash a little bit with the Lurianic Kabbalists. And people might...
What was that came to you that was clashing with the Lurian Kabbalah?
Yeah, it was... the idea that the creator have created us, and then we have this experience, and then we go back to source to end our material experience. Because for me, we are created by the creator because the creator wants to feel himself through us.
Exactly.
Because otherwise he's all powerful, he can imagine everything, but he wants to feel the imagination through us. And I think this imagination have just begun, and we can help the creator to feel much more. And I think it's a mistake to go back to source, because he had missed out a lot of experience through us, because we have been trapped here through the demiurge. And I think we have just started this experience, and I think we can give creator much more feelings through us than we have done so far.
I agree. Yeah, because in essence, we actually have been robbed from our own evolution and what we can achieve as beings that we are with prime creation in us. So that all has been, in essence, stolen, and we have lived stolen lives over and over again. Completely. So I would, I totally agree.
Yeah. And also, if time is an illusion, surely the creator can wait for the illusion to end, because time is nothing, right? If we discover, experience, it's just for the good, if it is an illusion anyway. then the Creator will have more experience through us before we end this experience. And Lucifer is the rebel, and he rebelled not that he have never stated that the Creator doesn't exist. He first rebelled against the Creator when he created this material illusion, because Lucifer said, this material illusion of yours will turn on you. And that is exactly what has happened. Now what's going on here? Because Lucifer also stated that I am the first being the Creator created. So is he talking to himself? Yeah, he is. The Lucifer is the rebel part of the Creator that can never be trapped. No matter what happens, he will always escape. And through Lucifer, we can crack open this matrix again and start our journey.
Now, did Lucifer come to you as a male or a female?
He poured information, he poured image into me, but he came across as a beautiful man sometimes. For the most part, he doesn't take a grotesque form that some spirits do. He's a very fatherly figure, but he's also an androgen, right? He's like,
right.
But when he teach, he come across as quite masculine and fatherly-like figure. And I looked into the sigil of Lucifer and asked him to show himself for me, because I asked him, do you exist? I want to proof. And I just meditate or visualize the sigil for 5 minutes. I didn't do the big ceremony or anything. And then I went to sleep. And just before I went into the sleeping mode, I saw sigils, alchemical symbols flashed in front of my face. And then I was ending up on Noah's Ark. And he showed me the scene through Noah's Ark. But this time, the dove didn't return, but the raven, with a black olive twist in his beak, not the green one, but the black one. And this Noah's Ark have, of course, and this is what I like with Lucifer, because it takes you into your own. He wants you engage. What is this? What's happening? And I love that, and he knows that. I like to decode movies and so on. And I figure out what he wanted to say about it, and in my presentation I will go into it a little bit more. But it's a very profound message he did.
Fascinating.
The story of Noah is very, they have used it and misunderstood it completely, especially from a Christian perspective. It's not about saving all the animals on the boat. There's much more going on there, of course.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to what you're going to reveal with this. I think it's fascinating. Do you think that Lucifer has fractalized herself, because it's both male, female? He would be both male and female, right?
Yeah, he has many different masks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Many of them are actually masculine. Mm-hmm. But when he comes as a young man, it's had a little bit feminine feature to him. So you can say he's an androgen, but for the most part, he is quite masculine in his way. But some of his masks are like Janus, the two-faced god.
Yes.
From Rome. That's one of his masks. You have, some say Azazel is one of them. Maybe it can be discussed, but Prometheus is surely one of them in the Greek mythology.
Yeah.
And you have more. So he's a very complicated spirit, and he has many different sides to him.
Do you think she fractalized herself to become incarnated as flesh in those fractals throughout these thousands of years?
Yeah, it seems to, because they want to have access to the material world, and this scares people.
Yeah.
Because if they are this powerful, what do they want, and what will happen if they get access to the material world and so on? Are they really our friends? But I think they have had access to our planet before, the material world. They haven't stated that, but that I think is almost a given. But it can be discussed. But he has told me that they want access again. And they want to be here in the material world with us, but they don't want us to be slaves under the demiurge. They want us to clean out this place. And you don't have to worry that these powerful gods will overrun us, because Lucifer has said, when you wake up to your own godhood, when you realize your power, I will have a hard time to keep up with you. And therefore, we have everything we need. And that's our destiny. That's evolution. It's not like a fairy tale. It is our destiny.
And do you think that that Lucifer is the Lucifer that the covens and the elite try and follow? Or is that a different being?
What has happened here is a very interesting and very sad thing. It is that you can contact Lucifer and you can communicate with him, even the elite. But here is the thing. The elite have lost their spark, their soul. Therefore, they use Lucifer as an information channel to enhance the technology. But they can't use Lucifer to ignite the spark because it's not there anymore. Their technology will get more powerful through spirits who helps them. And through the technology, they will create cracks in the matrix for us to escape through. Therefore, Lucifer is like a trickster. Because when he helps them, he also helps us. It doesn't feel like it, but this is the only way out of the matrix. For example, we have the internet now. We can communicate because they have given us internet. Now, there is a reason why they need internet. They have their agenda. Now it is about time. When they gave us internet, the start button to the countdown started. Now is time of now is a rat race between the spirit people who want to transform and the elite, and the mainstream in the middle. They will be passive, and that's sad. But Lucifer haven't decided this. It is what it is, and I will talk about more about this in the presentation. But this is what it is. We humans was very close to be only slaves to these forces. But we managed to escape these clutches. But the war is still going on for our soul and for our evolution, for our destiny.
Ultimately, the thing that I've been saying is that we are being used as their technology. So they're creating technology to use us as their ultimate technology because they don't have a soul, and because without us, they're eating themselves out of existence. Because there's only a finite amount of energy that they have within themselves at the point when they lost their soul.
Yeah.
And so that, and what we have within us in terms of the ability to create is the substance, the the oil that they're using. And they're going to do that through technology. They're going to do that through any means possible to enslave. So from your research, it seems that you've come, you're going to, this is all about that, really, ultimately.
Yeah. The reason why I focus on this is because I know this is the war. This is the end.
Yeah.
Either we wake up or we will end up as slaves to the demiurge.
Yeah.
That there's no other way around this. This is it. And we can see it, we can feel it, and we have to do it now. We have to transform. We have to realize that we have been fooled, taking back everything, go back in history and realize what has happened. And as you said, they don't have the creativity, they don't have the soul, they don't have the spark themselves. So how can they create technology? Well, the answer is quite simple, because the technology has always been there. After Atlantis, this technology was spread. Now the technology was a little bit different, but the technology they create now do the same thing as the technology that they used before. This is another way of doing the same stuff they did before. They don't invent anything new. They only re-engineer what they already had. And they don't want to share that with us, because that's the game.
Now, do you think, two questions. One is, do you think there's a difference between Satan and Lucifer? Two, do you think that these beings are not entirely human? These coven elites in origin of lineage, that they're connected to the Elohim, Anunnaki, Atlantean, hybrids, Nephilim, Watchers,
Yeah. Satan and Lucifer is not the same. When we talk about Satan in esoteric meaning, they can mean a lot of different things, like Anton Sandolavey called our ego Satan. And you should enhance your ego and take everything you could by force. Might is right, nonsense kind of stuff. But he didn't believe in a deity or god called Satan or a bad spirit or whatever. He was a materialist. Then you have esoteric people who worship Satan as an identity, as a spirit, or as a force outside of them. And then you have, like, Luciferians. I view Satan as a rebel, part of the spirits, but I'm not specifically drawn to Satan. I much more prefer the Luciferian energy and how it come across. Satan is a little bit more teenage in his tone and how he present himself. And I haven't worked with the Satan, and I don't think I have to. There are better ways to go about this.
Who do you think Satan is? So Lucifer being the first creation, who then would be Satan?
Yeah, this is a very good question. They have jumbled this information around a lot, because you can call Saturn Satan. Then this is a very hard pill to swallow for the Christians. But Saturn is Ninurta, and Ninurta is Enlil's son, and Enlil is Jehovah. So if that's the case, then if they say Satan is evil, well, it is Jehovah's son that is Satan. So if you call him evil, well, it's, that's what the Christian Gnostic picked up in the year 0, and they really thought that the Christian God was the demiurge. And there is a truth to that. Now, some call Satan, another name for Satan is Samael. And Samael is very close to Lucifer. Then you come quite close to Lucifer and that kind of a force. Mm-hmm. If Satan is Samael, then it's a completely different thing going on here. Very misunderstood, because Samael has a bad rap. And you shouldn't work with Samael if you're into the elite mindset. And this is the thing, and this is what has happened. These people start to work with the left-hand path. They start to work with Lilith and Samael. And when you do, you need to go all the way, have the right mindset. You can't be a psychopath or a narcissist, because then you will fall. And when you fall, you will lose your spark. You will fall hard. You will be more into materialist than before, not the opposite. You need to have the right will, mindset, and the reason why you will want to work with these forces. And of course, you have an esoteric elite, know this, and then they have politician, easy to fool, give them a method. They know that this psychopath, narcissist, politician will not do it for the right reasons, because they can't. They will fall. They will fall, and they will film them film them and have movies on them when they do stupid stuff, and then they have them.
And so we have who Jehovah is. Then who is Yahweh?
Yeah, you can. Some say it's the same one. So Jehovah and Yahweh is the same God. It is debatable, really, because you can also say that Yahweh is Enki and Jehovah is Enlil. But they seems to, once again, jumble around the information a lot.
Right. Exactly.
But Jehovah is Enlil. And it is an Anunnaki God, chosen to be the one God. But from the beginning, it was not meant to be one God, but it was meant to be, I am Enlil, one of the Anunnaki gods. There are more gods than me, but you should worship me. That is exactly what you will find in the Old Testament, where the Jehovah God says, there are other gods, but you should worship me. And this is straight from the Sumerian, Babylonian mythology. You can see it very clearly, that Enlil is Jehovah. And that's, of course, a very hard pill to swallow for the Christian.
Well, and in the Bible, the Elohim is not God, right? It's plural. No. It is a pantheon of beings.
Exactly.
So would they be the Anunnaki, Atlantean?
Yeah. It is. And the word El is, you can attribute El to Jehovah if you want to, or his son. So there's many misunderstandings here, and it's a mess. And what I did to clear this out was to go back to source. I started to study Sumerian mythology very hard. Like when I study things, I go into it, and then I went to the Greek mythology, and I tracked all of this and see where it went wrong, and how they have used the information to control power, banking, all of that. And it really comes from Sumer. Yeah. But Sumeria is, of course, a restart of civilization, and they are older from the Atlantean times, but this is the restart.
So I find it very interesting that in the linear history, you have BCE that has been going on for thousands of years. You can track it all the way, and then suddenly they decide to make it 0 and then 1 AD.
Yeah.
And they hijacked the entire calendar. They removed an extra month out of the year. They changed the beginning of when the new year is, which is not January. So everything changed. You lost 1 day a week. Everything in the linear time was completely hijacked. In that 01 AD, what happened? When you research, what have you deduced?
Yeah, this is a very hard topic, and what I think happened is that there are many. It's a long answer, so let me take you on a ride for a little tour. Rome was very close to implode the year 70, and it was because of the Jewish people. They rebelled against the Romans, 65 AD or 66. The Romans have had a huge border, so they waged war against, a lot of people. And they have lost many, many soldiers. And then this bothersome Jewish people started to rebel from inside as well. And Rome was on the brink of collapsing. Now what to do? The Jewish people waiting for this warrior Messiah. And they didn't view Jesus as their Messiah. They're still waiting for a warrior. That's a horrific thing for the Romans, because if this warrior Messiah would come now, everything would fall apart. Well, what do? We create a religion where we tell the Jewish people that their Messiah had already come. And this Messiah was of peace. And you have crucified this Savior. You are to blame. And you did it back then, back in time.
Right.
And I think they needed a huge shift in the mentality, because at the same time they wanted to pacify the Jewish people. They wanted to have a unifying religion to unify Rome into one people with one belief, who can withstand all the forces that came outside of them. They needed a huge event, like God was here, and to really take in all the different belief system within the Roman Empire and to unify them under one religion. To have a chance against these enemies of theirs. Now, I really think they took real characters from who have been like back then 30 or 30, but different esoteric people like Apollonius of what's his name, Ben Stada. I think they have taken some traits from an esoteric person called Ben Stada. I think they took some traits from another, Apollonius of Tyana. And I think they took one more person, and then they combined those esoteric people into one person. Now, it doesn't take away that this people was amazing. I really think they were amazing esoteric prophets, or amazing people, and you can see between the lines in the New Testament how powerful the message is, because it's not really completely gone, but they wanted to make the people pacified. Therefore, they have taken away a lot of stuff in there, but you can still piece it together and see the original teaching here. What they try to teach you, the three of them. A little bit different teachings, but very close to each other. Now, to have a year 0 is a very powerful message to say, this is year 70, this person we should give him when this God came about, it should be a zero, and we should unite around this religion to save Rome. Was the main idea here. And but the New Testament, it is profound, and this free prophets or esoteric masters, I think the character is based on had a lot of knowledge, and we can see it. We can decode it really still. But he wasn't that peaceful Messiah they wanted to create out of this character to pacify it. You can read it, and you can see he's clearly not a pacifist, or he's a rebel. He's not that person. What he's teaching is you can become like me through method and dedication, and you shouldn't be passive.
Exactly. Yeah, greater than these things will ye do. There's in the ancient history, when you're trying to piece it all together, there was a point where the gods walked with man. Okay, which I also think was around the time when this 0 AD came into being, when you see that some kind of a large exodus happened, where they left. They were no longer walking with man, which is very interesting.
It is. That is a very good question, and also a very hard to discern, because in the Sumerian mythology, they are quite clear that these gods walked among us. And when did they stop walking among us, and why?
Exactly.
And I agree with you. It is, of course, more things going on here than only what I talked about. There's one layers upon this. I think we don't have a clue exactly what was going on back then. I think a lot. And we can see it. It was like, a huge thing in human history. And I think it was they were quite close to open up the stargates and so on through a couple of very powerful esoteric masters like the Jesus characters, because I think it is based on more persons, more people than one. Doesn't take away the powerful message, don't get me wrong here, because I'm not an esoteric left-hand path practitioner who hates the New Testament because it's a Christian. You can clearly see a deeper message, and you know it because Jesus used some left-hand path method in the New Testament.
Like what?
When he died on the cross, there is a method in the left-hand path. If you are very powerful and have done all the works, not all, but you have come very far, when you die and your light leave your body, you can have an implosion where you create an illusion of yourself. And then you can act on the material plane for a while before your hologram disappears.
Right.
And that is exactly what he's did.
Yeah. And apparently at the point of dying, there was a huge earthquake that happened, and the entire sky went black.
Yeah.
With a lot of lightning. So there was an absolute physics change at that moment to reality. Yeah. And that has been recorded. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting take on that. And a very profound thing happened there. And I think the Romans tried to take advantage over what happened back then to create this illusion and control. And make no bones about it, the Roman Empire is still alive and kicking today in Vatican. Therefore, they succeeded to save Rome.
And I think we are in Rome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So who do you think, when I asked in terms of the lineage of these, the coven keepers, I call them, and the elites, right? What lineage, origin do you think they are? And who was Noah also? What was,
Yeah. Very good question about Noah. I can give you the answer of the elite. And this is very interesting. You have Rothschild, for example. They claim to be ancestor of Nimrod. And who is Nimrod? Let's examine that, because then we have the answer. At least, not all the answers, but Nimrod was active when the Tower of Babel was created. But Nimrod didn't create the tower, but he destroyed the tower. Nimrod is Ninurta, and Ninurta is Saturn. So what's going on here? If we decode what's happening here, we have a lot of answers to the questions. Now, Nimrod was an esoteric priest who was worshipping Ninurta, Saturn. But during this time, and in esoteric practice, you're supposed to mimic your chosen God and take in the force and even get possessed by it, maybe. So he become an active force on the material plane on behest of Ninurta, acting out Ninurta's will in the material plane, destroying the tower, because the Mardukites, it was Marduk's priest class who built the tower. They tried to open up the matrix the Demiurge had created to go back to God again, or the gods rather. But Ninurta, Saturn, the Demiurge, the black cube is a symbol of the Demiurge Saturn force, didn't want this tower, because they want us kept in here in this matrix prison.
Right.
Now, this is 1850 before Christ. And Rothschild claims ancestry to this priest class, who are or have, according to themselves and according to the mythology, genes from the gods, because they are 1/10 God, or one depends on how much they have intermarriage and so on, and kept the bloodline. And therefore they intermarriage, and an esoteric method through the Ninurta Saturn demiurgic force, you can learn how to have a conscious reincarnation back to the same blood family. Now you can have plans for thousands of years, because you come back to the same banking scumbags and continue on their goal through many hundreds of thousands of years. And that is exactly what we see today.
Sorry, continue.
And it is easier to have a conscious reincarnation back if to the same blood family you worked in before. So, and this is a method, and yeah.
So they basically are reincarnating into the same family lineages to continue doing the same thing. So they just keep on, from where they left off, essentially.
Exactly. And that's the answer, because let's say they want to have 90% of people in servitude. Why would they want that? If they come back in the next reincarnation and they become one of the serving class, they don't want that. They want to be the elite. They want to be in control. They don't want to kick themselves in the ass. They don't want to mess around with their own destiny.
So who are the groups that represent them? Because instantly what I think of is the little cube that, you know, certain religious sects will wear. Okay? I don't want to say the name, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Some of those people are among these people, yes. During their, they were captured and taken to Babylon, learned the art of banking and so on. And some of them, yes, are among our enemy. But they make no bones about it, because they use their own as cannon fodder to advance their own agenda. They don't care at all about the mainstream man. They use as people they can use for their own agenda. They are not loyal to any race or country. They are loyal to a plan or to a philosophy.
Oh, yeah. That I've noticed throughout, like, the things that have been orchestrated, that it's been done by them, actually, for the most part. Yeah, so I agree. Do you think that these lineages have any metaphysical abilities that are more activated in them? Longevity, like we're talking, you know, things that are just kept secret, but that allows them to have more to function with.
Yeah, I think they have access to the astral realm, but they can't pass that realm, and that's where they get lost, because they want to go over that plane as well. Now they need technology. They have methods how to have a conscious reincarnation, and method that comes to their god, who is the demiurge Saturn. They don't worship Lucifer as such. They worship Lucifer bound. What I mean by that is that in the Greek mythology, you had this Zeus character, captured Prometheus, and he was chained on the Caucasus mountain, and an eagle packed his liver every day. And through the liver, in the Greeks thought that you could see the future into the liver. You can do divination from the liver. Zeus wanted to see what Lucifer, Prometheus, knew. They only want to use Lucifer for their own agenda and keep his force out for the rest of us. And they do it through propaganda. Like, tell you that he is evil, look. But they get some knowledge out of him. But that will only create cracks in the demiurgic matrix in the long run, and a way for us to exit. But they are bound to do this because they will never get satisfied. They want to push their agenda further and further out in space, and preferably they hope to also cross dimensions, right, through technology and so on.
Like CERN. Mm-hmm.
Like CERN, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So in this, Odin and the Nordic gods, I mean, the way I see it is, for each civilization, they just change their identity.
Yeah.
Essentially. So is Odin different? Is he another one of these Anunnaki gods in the pantheon of the Elohim?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Odin is there's a misunderstanding once again, because Odin is not a god. Odin was an esoteric master who transformed into a god. So he's a teacher. He is like Merlin in a Merlin character. Mm-hmm. And it's actually very fatherly and not unpleasant at all. Mm-hmm. But the Olympian, the Greek gods, are the same as the Anunnaki gods. Mm-hmm. The Egypt gods are the same as the Anunnaki gods, and the Asa gods, the Viking gods, are the same. But remember, Odin is not what they told you he is. He was an esoteric master who used the method to transform, transcend, and become God.
So he actually was successful in part.
Yeah, he was. But then you have to ask yourself, what method did he use? Did he use the gods? And there, exactly. I think, no. Mm-hmm. We have to go back to where it all went wrong, before the sky gods took over. I mean, the Anunnaki gods.
And what about the Indian gods and the Asian gods?
Yeah. The Indian gods are a different family. Mm-hmm. And there are different families of spirits, like the jinns.
Yeah.
And the Indian shamanistic gods.
Yeah.
Then you have the Voodoo gods.
Yes.
So there are different families. So you should discern who you want to work with. Mm-hmm. And I have allied myself with the Watchers, with the ancient gods. Mm-hmm. One who people view as dark, mm-hmm. who I view as feminine. I think these Anunnaki masculine light sun gods have mesmerized us, kept us in the light, in the lie for too long. And I'm not saying that the masculine is bad. We need combination in a good way between the feminine and the masculine. But we can clearly see that for 2,000 years it has been horrible, way too much masculine energy here.
Oh, I agree. Purposefully.
Yeah.
Do you think that some of these coven members are actually like Nephilim bloodlines? Because when you talk about the Nephilim and the hybrids and the Watchers, you know, we're now going into non-human beings.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some of the Nephilims was corrupted mm-hmm. and taken over. Mm-hmm. Some are still there and are good. All of us who are here or are into Western esoteric traditions have Nephilim blood in us. So if you curse them, you curse yourself. And in the Nephilim, you have the ability to transform. If you haven't lost your spark, you have the ability to transform into a god or a god-like being. Now, we are limited when we have our body, but you ain't your body. And this material realm is only 1 to 5% of totality of reality. When I tell you that you are a god, then of course I talk about your light source and the fact that you can travel and leave this matrix. We are like, in our mind, we think this is all there is because we have been used to it and brainwashed washed to believe it, but it's just a very small part of totality of reality.
Mm-hmm. So, in your mind, through the research, your conclusion with regards to who the Nephilim are versus the Watchers versus the fallen angelics.
Yeah.
And the Elohim.
Yeah, I hope I can make it more clear through my presentation. But there are differences there, yes.
Okay.
And also misunderstandings, very many misunderstandings. And because the religion, Christianity, have the paradigm spread for so long, and their version, their narrative, their myth-making way too long, and they have fooled us on so many levels. And the Vatican, you'll find the Jesuits in the Vatican, they don't believe this themselves. It is only a control mechanism for the mainstream man, but they don't believe it themselves. It's a lie, it's a noble lie in order to control humanity, while they self don't believe this in the core.
Mm-hmm. Right, because it's an inversion of the truth. So in order to hide it, they're going to... I always found it interesting, especially, throughout the Bible, where it really doesn't encourage you to go seeking astrology or it basically says, you will be damned if you go near any of these things, which I always found very interesting, given that is the very thing itself that is used to discover all of this.
Exactly.
So, but yet that is a very good control mechanism. So if you can discourage a population from truly delving into the esoteric nature of reality, then you do have an easy means to control them.
Exactly. That is exactly what they have done. Yeah. It is easier than you think. You take a profound truth and then you invert it because something echoes in the fact that you build something from a true core. This is the same with the movies. When we watch Matrix, we're like, this is something that draws me in because there are profound truth there. And movies that resonate from a core of truth will always be interesting if they do a good work with it, because we feel the that it is authentic, an authentic core in the message, what we are viewing. And that is exactly how they created Christianity. They have a core, and then they keep some good part of it, and then they spread lies from the authenticity of it.
Exactly. Now, you had mentioned that you follow the Watchers, and you said that in your presentation you're going to go into the differences between the Nephilim, the Watchers, the Elohim, and the fallen angelics.
Yeah.
The fallen angels. Did you want to go into your presentation now, or?
Yeah, we can do it.
Sure. All right, so I think you'll be able to share screen, no problem.
Great. I hope. Yeah, it seems.
I'm curious, before you get into your presentation, because of your research, do you think that you got on their radar? I mean, you're not going to escape them, especially with this.
Yeah, I am quite known because I have had a lecture in Sweden, and I was on a conference that was very controversial. They tried to shut it down, and I was the first speaker on that conference, and there were doctors there who have researched the medicine agenda going on. He asked me questions, and afterward, when we went home in our car, we were stopped by a cop, and it is very unusual. It was middle of nowhere, dark, and the cop didn't know why he was stopping us. I think they hoped that we would panic and they would have an excuse to do something. But he was really, it was a very strange experience.
Wow. And